Okay, well, hi everyone, and thank you very much for watching or listening. It's Liam Hartree back with you today with another episode of Presenting Champions for the Simply Inspired podcast. Today, joined by a very special guest, or in this case, two very special guests. It's a lovely surprise for me. I'm joined by Zane Marks, professional boxer and current bare knuckle fighter, who has obviously achieved some incredible things. To rattle off just a couple of those here, we've got the Junior Olympic silver medal. We've got the UBO world title as a pro. We've got Lucien Butte, who he fought. We've got challenging for the world titles against Cleveland Corda. We've got some incredible achievements in 27 fights in professional boxing, obviously the amateur side as well. But this story goes a lot deeper than just boxing because this man has been through some of his hardest fights, I would say, are outside of the ring. Some of the things that this man has come through in his life, mentally, physically, would even say spiritually, absolutely second to none. And I'm surprised that he's still standing, never mind flourishing. So there's definitely going to be some life lessons in his talk today, some motivation, some inspiration. So that's a little bit about the champ. His lovely daughter, Jersey, is also joining us today as well, as you can see. So welcome to the show, guys. And thank you so much for being here today, basically. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. And like I was saying, the fact that you've sent me some really cool things about your life and the fact that, there's a few stories people don't know. That's the other thing I'll say to our viewers. Stay tuned because there's a few stories in here that are coming out, as far as I know, for the first time. So that's going to be very cool as well.
It's the first time, but it's not a lot of people, a lot of pop, not a lot of people know about it. So it's just the people that were involved, like my old manager and my old boxing team. But yeah, and just like a lot of this stuff, it's haunted me. A lot of stuff I haven't been myself for the last 8 years. I'm finally getting back to myself. I'm happy. Um, so yeah, this is gonna be the last. Everybody else tells me I need to let go of the past. So this is me shutting the door on the past. I'm gonna talk about it one final time, and then I'm letting it go and I'm moving on.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, my friend. I'm happy to hear that. Put it out there and just cast it out and let go. I mean, that's what you have to do sometimes. All right then. Well, with that in mind, let's get into it. Starting with your early life. Now, I just want to say, Jersey, later on, there's going to be some other questions that you come into and everything. Obviously, now for a minute, we're just going back in time, so we'll talk about your dad's upbringing, his early life. So, Champ, with that in mind, obviously you were born in Florida, but you also lived in Scotland, then you went back to the USA. So there's a bit of transition there. Can we start at the very beginning with where you were born and your early life, please?
Yeah, I was born on October 17th, 1984. My father was in the Navy. My mother was from Scotland. My dad was stationed in Dunoon, Scotland. They met, got married, had my older brother, my big brother James. After that, my dad and my mom moved to Florida, where I was born. And when I was 10 months old, my mother and father separated. So, yeah, so went back. My mom took me and my brother back to the UK, where I lived until I was 7 years old. I don't really have much recollection of it, but um, my mother was diagnosed with cancer when I was 7. She passed away shortly after. So I lived with my grandmother and my sisters. And then after my mother passed away, my father brought us back to America, which is a whole different, it was a different ball game because I was at that point I hadn't really seen my father much. Like he was just a guy that came and went to visit kind of thing. So when he brought us back to America, like people in America consider me white, but people in the UK consider me black. So I moved to a town, population maybe 200,000, called New Rose, Louisiana, and I was the only person my color. Everybody's darker than me. My brother's darker than me, so I had to fight. Sometimes if I wanted to eat, I had to fight. If it, I went through a lot. I went through a lot of hardships. I was sexually assaulted as a kid, as a child. Um, through a lot of abuse, verbal, mentally, physically, a lot of physical abuse. And when I say physical abuse, I don't mean saying and I'm not saying necessarily my father. It's some things that happen within the family, I was a target. I was different. So uh yeah, I'm not when I say physical abuse, I don't mean hit with a belt. I mean get punched in the face and knocked out or get strangled and choked till you passed out. So these are things on a regular occurrence. And then on the streets, it was the same thing. At school, I was the only person my color. I was the only person playing at the parks. Tried basketball, things like that. I was no good. I'm not really good at sports at all. um, I was good at running, uh, but if I ran from a fight, my dad, my dad would teach me a painful lesson. My brother James, he was the guy that all the girls wanted, all the guys wanted to be. He was the somebody. So my brother toughened me up. Like he make me get. He didn't make me, but he said, if you want to be tough, you got to do this and do that. So I would get on my hands and my knees, and he'd run across the room and violate me in my stomach and stuff like that. So as a kid, I hated life, but I don't have any weakness physically. I'm not weak at all. Um, so me and my brother on my 14th birthday, I hit somebody and broke my hand. A guy named Stephen Honore. I've always been I was a coward growing up. I was a coward, scared of everybody. Girls and everything was hitting me and I start crying. So I fought Stephen Honore, and my brother said, if you hit him, I'll jump in. So I hit him, and when I hit him, I broke my hand. I dropped him. I put him down. I broke my hand. My hand broke two of my knuckles and one of my fingers. So the guy got up and he wanted to fight, but I didn't want to fight anymore. My hand was hurting. And my brother turned around, looked at me and said, yon. So me and Stephen Honore ended up fighting in the streets that night till we were both dehydrated and had to go to the hospital. Hardest fight I've ever been in my life. So my dad sent me to school. A couple of days later, I had a cast or a stuck on, and we went to school with a lot of gang activity. So there was a zero tolerance policy. And I've been a coward so long, and I've been bullied and picked on so long that when I hit Stephen Honore, I realized I knew I couldn't fight, but I realized if I hit you first, there's no fight. So from there on, I went to school with the cast on, and I didn't feel like being in school, so I just started as the black man brush they had with a wooden Vidal Sassoon brush. So I had a cast on and a Vidal Sassoon brush, and I just started running around hitting people, girls, boys, teachers. So I ended up getting jumped, and somebody told my brother that I was getting jumped, and he came out of woodwork class with a 2x4 and broke it over somebody's head. And before you know it, we started a riot. The whole school got shut down for 3 days. So they put us in a place called so we couldn't go to no school in the state of Louisiana. So we were arrested and charged, and then they put us into a place that this is where my behavior started to change. Because after you get beat up so much, you're numb to it. You're not scared of the pain. Like you welcome it, if that makes sense. And what happened was we went to this place called School of Hope, which is for kids who no other school would take. And it was a computer school. You sat on a computer all day, and I didn't feel like being there, so I poured water down the back of the computer, and I got kicked out of there. So my dad come in, and he was about to whip me and my brother, and I told my dad, I said, leave your belt on because we fighting, and we fought, and I think it was the first time I fought my dad back. So my dad said, I don't know what to do with it, so he sent us back to Scotland. We sent us back to Scotland. I was 14. And at this rate, my nana was the most amazing woman, God bless her soul, that I've ever known. Like it's hard to describe that this woman taught me confidence. I wasn't born with confidence. This woman gave me confidence, taught me confidence. So my grandmother, she was my world. She was like my mother. And to this day, I wish she had disciplined me. Well, she never did, I guess, because she felt like she wasn't my mother. So I started hanging the streets and doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing and stuff like that. Like she'd give me money to go out on Friday night, and I wouldn't come home till Wednesday. I was 14. So me and my brother were involved in gang life over there. Neighborhoods all fought with each other, but so we had every gang had the big boys and the little boys. My brother was part of the big team. I was part of the small team, and neighborhoods can't go into other neighborhoods. I used to go around and walk around because it's when you go to school, there's overseas. It's like such and such is the best fighter in this grade, such and such. And I was my first day in school, and they're like, this guy named Andy Kill, he's dead as well. They're like, they said he's the best fighter in this year. And I just grabbed the snooker ball off the table and walk up to him, hit him with it. And then I kind of got my own reputation. It was quite violent. Feels like fighting. It's not, when I say quite violent, it's fighting. So I used to go around all these different neighborhoods and challenge the best fighter. So I got a reputation like that, and then started getting in trouble with the police. Like I threw a hot cup of coffee on the police's face for trying to arrest me. So, just I was seemed like I was in front of a judge every 3 days. So my nana told me, she said, "Well, you like fighting, so why don't you do something with it?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to. I didn't want to do nothing." So the judge, I got arrested again, and the judge told me, he said, "If you come back in front of me again, I'm going to make an example of you." And then I got in trouble again. And he told my grandma, he advised my grandmother, my nana, to get me into some sort of program. So she had me going to boxing on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, dancing on a Tuesday, and Muay Thai on a Thursday. Just to keep me off the streets. And I've always seen as a kid, I was quite a big kid, and so I started training with a guy named Danny Lee. He had just started a boxing gym. Danny Lee's father was actually in the same Olympics as Muhammad Ali. So I fought my first seven fights. I won the Scottish tournament, stopped everybody. I don't know what, I was just a different animal then. And then another 3 or 4 fights, like I would fight in, say, Liverpool, England, and then 2 weeks later I fight in Hull, and then so I ended up winning the whole British title. Where I fought this is the British tournament now, and Lloyd Hunnigan actually gave me my gold medal. So what happened is I never, other than my father, I'd never been to ring with a black guy. And I was fighting this big black guy named Daley Ojadiri from London in this big fancy hotel. And I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. And he was outboxing me. And I caught him with a left hand and he went down. And as soon as I hit him, he went down. I said, I got you. So, I won the British title. Once I won the British title, I called my dad in America and said, listen, the best. So after I won the British title, it was hard to get me fights. So I might only fought once or twice a year. And I was kind of in a state where I was like, I can't, if I want to fight once or twice a year, I don't want to do this. And at the time, boxing wasn't as big, and amateur boxing, it wasn't as busy as it is now. So I called my dad, and my dad got me back to America. And I went to a gym called 14th Street, which is probably one of the best boxing gyms you could ever go to. When I went there, within 2 weeks, I was fighting. I remember I walked in and they put a picture of me up on a wall with my gold medal. And all these guys came up and they yanked my picture off the wall. And they said, because it was like a wall where all the pictures go. And so they put the picture on the wall. And the guys went up, snatched the picture off the wall. And they said, before his picture goes up on the wall, he's got to earn it. And I'll tell you something. And see an American fighter and a British fighter, it's just different styles, right? But between a black fighter and a white fighter, it's different styles. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain, but So they snatched my picture off. 2 weeks later, we went to I think it was Bessemer, Alabama, and I fought a guy named Walter Etienne, and he was beating the crap out of me, and I hit him with a body shot. And I was the fight over. So then they said, "Oh, you can put his picture on the wall." So at this point, I was winning golf state tournaments. I went to U.S. championships, made it to the final. I fought Jorge Hernandez, and I beat him. How he won that fight, like he might have hit me twice the whole fight, but he was in the Marines, and when it comes to stuff like that, it gets political. Uh, I fought in every tournament in America at least twice, and I've never not made it to the semifinal or final. I always made it to the end. I fought the Junior Olympics. That's probably one of the easiest tournaments I fought in. I ran through everybody. Matter of fact, when I won my silver medal, Austin Trout was fighting in the same tournament. That's how I met Austin, because he was fighting out of New Mexico at the time, and we became friends. That's how we became friends. Now he's world champion. He was world champion in boxing. Now he just won a world title in BKFC. So yeah, I've done that. Um, after that, I was kind of burnt out on amateur boxing, if I'm honest, because in America, if you go to a tournament, you'll fight every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then if you go to a tournament, some days you might fight 2 or 3 times a day because there's that many fighters. So and everybody always told me that I had a pro style, and I wanted to make some money. I ain't lying, I wanted to make some money, so I had to move a pro style. So my coach and the guys from my gym were going, and this is on Valentine's Day. We're going to a tournament. I told my coach, I said, I don't want to fight amateur anymore. I want to go pro. So there's a guy named Quintus Graves. I don't know if you heard of him. He was supposed to be in the Olympics, but he failed a drug test for marijuana. So he wasn't fighting anymore because he wasn't fighting on this show because he said he had, he was getting ready for the Olympic trials. So I go to the fight with my gym just to spectate, and he's like, Quintus Graves like, Zane, you want to fight? And I'm just like, I'm not fighting amateur anymore. I don't fight. I don't want to fight amateur. And he said in front of everybody, he said, what, are you scared? I said, man, let's fight. So I had to give up weight because he was like a light heavyweight and I was a middleweight. And if I'm honest, that being my last amateur fight, he couldn't win any better. How I dropped him 7 times in one round, the referee didn't stop it, I don't know. But yeah, and he was a great fighter. So after that, I decided to turn pro, which I was still with my coach, Frank James. He's dead as well. And I trusted Frank. And not a bad thing to say about him. Not a bad thing to say about him because he was a great coach. I don't like so I fought he got me my first pro fight. I fought a guy named Trennis Brown. This guy shouldn't have been in the ring with me at all. Like, crucified him. Then my second fight, I fought a guy that's 13 wins, 1 loss. I shouldn't have been in the ring with this guy. But I chose that fight because I thought I could beat him. I lost by 1 point. My face was swollen. His face was swollen. This guy should have blew me out the water, but he couldn't. Dupree Strickland. Still speak to him today. Then my coach. So once you have a fight where your face get damage to your face, or you took a lot of punches, what they do is suspend you for 30 days just to make sure everything's healed. So at this point, I'm suspending the U.S. because I just fought this guy 13-1. And then my coach, Frank James, comes to me. It's like 4 days after I fought or something. It's like, listen, there's a fight in Canada. You're not suspended in Canada. He said, this guy's got 3 fights. He said you got 2. He said, you're a better fighter than him. You got more amateur fights than him. And we went to Canada. So I fought Lucien Boutte in Quebec. And it was weird because I'd never been somewhere where nobody speaks English. And I fought in an arena that held 10,000 people, my third fight, 15,000 people. And but you can still see my face was still swollen. I can't really. That's so. Anyway, I fought Lucian Bute. In my opinion, it was a sloppy fight, but I believe I was ahead on points in the first round, which I got stopped in the first round. Um, he broke 3 ribs on one side. I took a knee, got myself together, and I got up, and he broke 4 ribs on the other side. Lucien Bute ended up being the most devastating body punch in boxing, period. But if you watch the fight, after the fight, I get off when I get off the ground, when I get off the canvas, I got a smile on my face. And it's people. Somebody said to say, why they have a smile on your face? Because I just made like 9 grand. I never had that kind of money of my own money. I thought I was rich, you know. So I was disappointed. I was I was mad at Frank because I was told this guy I put too much trust in my coach. I would have fought Mike Tyson if he told me to. If he told me I could beat him, I'd have fought him. You know what I mean? Um, so me and Frank James kind of parted ways after that. Uh, and I met a guy named Mike Gordon. Mike Gordon was so what I did is I felt like I needed to sharpen my skills. So I kept boxing, kept training. I just didn't fight for a while. Um, met a guy named Mike Gordon, most amazing person I've ever met, probably one of the most amazing people I've ever met. Mike Gordon worked he was a truck salesman, but he had MMA fighters like so. He said I don't know much about boxing, but I'll try to manage it correctly. So I said okay. So me and Mike were together for a couple of years, and So through Mike, I got to do a lot of sparring with like Kyle Bradley from the UFC, Rich Clemente from the UFC, um, Tim Crater. These are guys that they were bringing me in to help them with the hands, the stand-up game. Um, Mike also got me a couple of MMA fights, which I done pretty good considering. Yeah, I won 2 and lost 1. Only had 3, but lost 2. Lost 1, won 2. Um, but because Mike wasn't connecting the boxing game, I really wasn't getting any fights. So that's kind of what my parole. After me and Mike kind of parted ways, that's when my pro career kind of took off because in Louisiana there was a lot of guys that you would hear about. Louisiana, in my opinion, Louisiana is not the kind of guy. The guys from Louisiana is not the guys who get signed to major deals or major contracts because Louisiana is not a place where people go looking for talent. But I'm telling you, it's got the best talent, the best fighters. So I fought. There was a guy named Martin Verdon. Martin Verdon was like probably one of Louisiana's best fighters, but his record didn't. He had a winning record, but his record didn't really show up because he fought anybody. You know what I mean? And they called me to ask me if I would fight Martin Verdon. No, sorry. They called me and asked me if I. So this guy named Damian St. Pierre was a boxing man. He said, "Listen, I can get you a fighting Johnny Taylor." So Martin Verdon was supposed to fight Johnny Taylor, but Johnny Taylor Martin was supposed to fight, but Martin got caught fighting in an unsanctioned fight, so they suspended him. So I stepped in and took the fight with Johnny Taylor, which he was like a light heavyweight, and I was a middleweight. He's a big guy, and I beat him on points, but I dropped him twice with a body shot. And after that, Damien told me there was a buzz about me in the pro circuit. So Martin got his license back, and Martin, fighters come talking trash and this, that, and other. I see to this day, like me and Mom were good friends. I can't fucking stand him today. I ain't lying. I don't really care for him today, but I ended up fighting him, and you probably forget if you ever seen the other podcasts or heard about it. But he had all these guys. So I go to his hometown, and it's me, my manager, and my trainer, and we're walking to the ring. And I tell you, this place was sold out. His ring entrance, he had rappers walking to the ring, rappers saying he's going to destroy me. On 4 seconds, I walked out through a right hook, left hand. He was on his knees, and his head was touching the canvas. What I'm saying? I knocked him out. Police and the dogs had to escort me out of the ring. Like people start throwing bottles and stuff. So that kind of kicked it off. Yeah, and from there, just started dominating the pro scene. So,
The story so far, champ, I gotta say, I mean, it's incredible. I want to ask you one other thing before we get into the pro game and everything. Obviously, going back to what we were saying earlier, where your father and your brother and all these guys were toughening you up mentally, and in the beginning, you were afraid of fighting, and then you got into it, and it's like a process you went through. As you went through your amateur career, your pro career, as it went up the levels and you got higher and higher and higher, how was your mental game adapting to that? Into because it's something that people don't see just from watching a fight. So you say there about being in like Lucian Bute, 10, 15,000 people early on in your career. Not a lot of guys can handle that pressure, but you were handling that. I mean, I know the fight didn't go to plan, but you were still handling the pressure. How did you do that?
see, if I'm honest, I'll compare now to then. I feel like, see, then I was angry. I was angry. Um, so many times in my life that there's people that done things to me or just abused me or whatever, and I wasn't strong enough then to stand up to them. So, and these people could be in the past, so I might not have access now. So I took that anger out on anybody that was in front of me. Controlled aggression, obviously, but it was controlled aggression. Controlled aggression. But I, the beginning of my career, even now, I'm not a skilled fighter. I'm not a technician. When I get in the ring, all I see is I feel like a shark. I smell blood. It's kill. Now the older I'm getting, I'm no longer angry. I'm not an angry person anymore. So now I'm more technical than I thought I ever was. But I'm not an angry person. I'm not anymore. But yeah, it's just the men. My brother used to say this thing to me, right? So my brother used to always say before a fight, he would say, "Listen, look at the guy across the ring from you." I would look at him, and like I said, we didn't have it easy. We had it tough. And my brother used to say, "That guy hasn't been through what we've been through. Go out there and show him that he hasn't been through what we've been through. And what we've been through, this is nothing." And that's just something I carry with me for a long time. So my brother's, yeah, he my brother's a big part of who I am, the good and the bad. Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. When we were talking about setting this up, obviously there's a lot of fights that we can talk about, but there's certain specific ones that you told me some stories about with things behind the scenes. So I don't know if you want to jump ahead a couple of fights here and talk about things because there's some crazy stories from, you sneaking out of training and crashing your
oh
motorcycle to
oh
if there's other ones. I mean,
um
you were sending me some stuff on this and it's pretty wild, man, what you were getting up to.
yeah, yeah. And you know what? See, even though I coming up as a child, like I went through all the traumatic stuff I went through. I went through everything I went through, but it's like I didn't really. I wouldn't say I had guidance. You know what I'm saying? So sorry. Yeah. So I didn't really have guidance. So it was just I was chaotic. So we're gonna talk about the Chance Leggett fight. So what is Chance Leggett? Yeah, it's Chance. So Chance Leggett, um, so fighting Chance Leggett. So I went back. So I'm in America. I've been in America for like a long period of time. Um, and I was over visiting my family. I think you know what? I think it might have been for my 21st birthday because I remember I went back to Scotland for my birthday and the police chased me. I was on a run anyway. But so see when I came. So see once my name started buzzing in the South, I blew up like on a rocket. And then you always get the haters. So people were saying, you wouldn't be where you are if Chance Leggett was still fighting. Now I had never met Chance Leggett, I had never seen him, but once people start talking about this situation, then I looked him up and I would ask questions, and they were saying that he was knocking everybody out. Like he was fighting undefeated fighters and knocking them out, taking the titles. Like this is Chance Leggett. But I was on. I thought I was untouchable. So I kept asking my managers, people saying, yeah, that I couldn't be trans-legged. So what I did is I said to Damien St. Pierre, who was my manager, I said, I want to fight trans-legged. And Damien said, no, you're not ready for that fight. And see me, I took that offensive because I'm out dominating shit. And you're telling me, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I want to fight him. He's like, no, you're not ready. So I had asked him for this fight 2 or 3 times. And he told me no. So while I was in Scotland, he called me. He said, what you doing? I said, nothing. He said, we got the fight. So I said, what fight? He said, trans-legged. I said, I'm coming home. So I flew back to to go to Meadow, Louisiana, and I started training. Now I trained for I had about 6, 7 weeks to prepare. So I trained for a few weeks. And there's this woman who was a world champion named Janine Boom Boom something. I don't remember her last name. So she was coming down to help me train for this fight. She came down to train me for this fight. And she brought her daughter. And she brought her daughter. So attracted to her daughter. Daughter's attracted to me. So we exchanged numbers. Matter of fact, I think it was on Facebook. And I had a Yamaha R6 at the time. And so like my training camp, like I stayed in a hotel. Like I go to the gym out of town. I didn't live where I trained, if you know what I mean. So I would go to the town I trained in, and after the gym, I'll go get some food and be in a hotel. But I was supposed to be in bed, but I snuck out to go to Homer, Louisiana to see her. So she called me on Facebook and she's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go out to this bar." So I'm drinking. I want to, I just, So anyway, so I sneak out of training camp to go and see her. And then she was in a truck, these new Dodge Ram Hemi trucks that just first came out. You remember they came out? So she's riding with this guy. She's like, follow us to the bar. So on the back road, I was doing 160 miles an hour. Just stupid. Now that I think about it, it's stupid, but it was fun. Damn, it was fun. So end up I'm following them. We're both going in the same direction. They turn off into the turning lane, and I cut across the lane. I was only going about 40 miles an hour at the time. Yeah, but I cut across the lane, got hit by a car. I went up, I came down on my neck, woke up in the back of the ambulance, so cut my clothes off me. So I was in the hospital for a week and a half. So Damien came to the hospital. He was furious, absolutely furious. He's like, hey, look what you done. You finally got the fight you wanted, and y'all kept messing up and you fucking up and all this. And then I was like, he's like, I'm going to cancel the fight. No, you're not canceling the fight. This is just me. Like, no, you're not canceling, because it's not even about the fight now. It's about me thinking first thing people are gonna say is, oh, he found a way out of the fight. He's scared of him. I'd rather you beat the shit out of me than say I walk away from you or turn away from you. So he said, okay, but we need to cancel the fight. I said, no, don't cancel the fight. So he didn't cancel the fight. So I had like maybe 8 days, 9 days left of the fight, a week or something like that. And I was like, I'm gonna beat him, because he hasn't been fighting. Like, he hasn't fought in a while. And so time comes for the fight. Just me being fucking arrogant. Show up at the fight. I had 2 titles at the time, so I show up to fucking now. So see where we fought. We fought in what was considered my hometown. Like, I sold this place out every single time. Me myself sold this place out. People call and say, if Zane's not the main event, when I come, I was stopping everybody. Well, see if this fight was on TV, I'd have been a millionaire. I'd have been a millionaire then. I'd have been a millionaire when I was a kid. So trans-legged, here I am with a 3-piece suit on, some moccasins. I'm looking fresh to death. And trans-legged walks in, and he got on some dirty jeans and a dirty baseball jersey. And I'm thinking to myself, look at this tramp, right? I said, I'm going to slaughter him, right? But I've been laid up because I was hurt. I dislocated my shoulder, dislocated my hip. So I was hurt. So I was just laying up. So But I felt good. See, because I've been laying in bed, I felt good. I feel like I was ready, because I was not ready. Um, so boom, and I'm talking about these are diehard Zane the Train fans. I don't care where I fought. Yeah, I had some of them. You know what I'm saying? Follow me everywhere. So come out first round, he couldn't match my speed. Like, I was just too fast for him. Second round, I had no gas in the tank, and he caught me. First time he caught me, he cut me on my eye, and I've never been cut before at this point. And so we continue fighting. He's punching me up and down the place, right? And then I come back out. The second round, he cut my eye. Then I came back out and he cut my other eye. I'm like, so now I'm panicking. I've never been in this situation. The referee says blood. I seen the doctor that said if the blood keeps going, your eyes, you have to stop the fight. So I went out. I went back out there. Boom. I didn't even feel the punch. I just remember looking up and seeing the lights, like I was on my back. And when I tell you, he hits hard. I never hit hard in my life. So I get up for the 8 count, and I'm swinging for the fences. My legs aren't there. My equilibrium is going. My legs are. I'm swinging for the fences, just trying to survive for the last 10, 15 seconds, whatever it was. And I go back to the corner. So come out for the third round. I think it was the third round, yeah. And come out for the third round. And when I came out for the third round, he hit me again, and the eye started bleeding. The doctor said, "You got to stop the fight." And I said, "I'm going to catch him," right? So I go back out, start fighting again. Boom, hits me. Other eye starts bleeding again, and they call me again and said, "Listen, this is your last time. The blood's still out of your eye. You catch him. We're gonna stop the fight." And I said, "I'm gonna catch him." So we're both left-handed. So he came through a right hook, and I threw a right hook, and our right hooks went right over each other, missed each other. But so my right hand, I was throwing it so hard out of desperation. I threw it, and I went so far with it, I almost touched my ankle. But he stopped. I came right back with a left hook, collapsed his spinal cord. They never found his gum shield, but I don't have the tape anymore. When you see the tape, you see his mouthpiece fly, rolls and rolls back, and it was never found. So he was in a wheelchair for a year. I was I was peeing blood for about 5 weeks after that. That's how hard he was hitting me. So I celebrated, because that's one of those fights that I felt like I was going to die. Yeah. Shout out to Chance Leg. I hope he's better. I know he's better, but just, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's an amazing thing because the thing is with the fights you've had, I mean, there's so many stories, there's so many amazing things. I'd love to talk about all of them. At the end of the day, we have to pick a few of them to get to everything else as well. And I just thought that was an amazing story that you
Yeah.
kindly shared with me. People probably don't know about this, but I got another question for you, a bit of a bigger question here. I mean, when you look at your pro career, obviously, in a minute now, we're talking about some other things outside of the ring. But when you look at your pro career, what are your proudest moments? Because you said to me something interesting. You said that the losses that you had, in many cases, you sort of brought them on yourself, or was that effect? But I felt like you were looking not at some of the big wins you had either. And I want to talk about those, your favorite fights, your proudest moments, the ones you look back on now that are the most special to you for one reason or another? Maybe there's a lot, but if we had to pick like two, three, four, something like that, which ones would they be? I know it's quite a big question, but your highlights.
Kingsley, one of my favorites, I would say, was I fought Kingsley Kiki.
Yeah,
Uh, Kingsley Kiki, 6'7". He's so tall that he doesn't climb through the ropes. He steps over them. They called me to fight him. I hadn't fought in 2 years. I hadn't fought in 2 years. I was just doing nothing for 2 years. They called me to fight him on, say, 7 days notice, 8 days notice. He was number three ranked middleweight in the world, and we fought for a title. And this title was an NABF, yeah, NABF. So if I won this fight, to put me in the top 10 in the world. I was still in my 20s. I was young. I was still young. Fought him, and so I see if you take a fight on 8 days notice, it's not enough time to get ready. It's not enough. I can fight. I don't care with nobody. I can fight. I'll fight. I can hold my own with the best of them, no matter what kind of shape I'm in. That's just who I am. I've been doing this so long. It's instinctual. You know what I'm saying? Like everything's it's instinct and second nature. So I decided. I said I can go to a gym for a week. It's not going to get me fit. I can go and fight 10 rounds, 12 rounds out of shape. I might not put on a great performance, but I'll be in there. Ain't nobody finna get rid of me. So what I did is I got with a personal trainer. I worked with him 3 days. I said, listen, I said, I can fight. You can't teach me how to fight. I said, as long as I said, if my legs are strong, I'll put on a hell of a performance. I said, but if my legs are not strong and my legs are not ready, then what I'll do is just take unnecessary punches. So I trained with a guy for 3 days and then went to fight Kingsley Kiki. And the buzz about this fight was huge. Um, very, very huge. And everybody counted me out because nobody had seen me fight in 2 years. I hadn't been in the gym in 2 years, and this guy's arms is probably the length of both of my legs together. You know, and you know what? That's the first fight, and I'm gonna be honest here, right? It's the first fight I've been in where I felt like maybe I bit off more than I can chew. But I started strong. I finished strong. I don't know. You find the pictures online somewhere. Like I gave him, so I won. I lost by 3 rounds. Um, but I had to have stitches in my eye after the fight, and he had to have emergency dental surgery. So I done something right. And after that fight, everybody start. That's when I started getting bigger fight offers. Yeah, he's crazy because he hit me with an uppercut so hard that I actually looked around to see if my head was still attached. Like so to be that was the first time because Kings Like Kiki's see when I was a kid, that's somebody I seen on TV. This is guys that I seen fight on TV. And here I am after 2 years not doing anything, just doing leg work for 3 days and I'm holding my own with them. So that's when I think I realized I'm more than I thought I am. I'm better than I think I am. But like I said, nobody's ever beat me. The only person ever beat me is me. You know, you get a little money, you get a little fame, a little popularity, or whatever, and then you think, I don't have to train as hard. I don't have to train as hard. And I'm sneak out of training camp. Cause like down where I was training, like man, I get in trouble with the police, they wouldn't charge me. I go in the store, they had to pay for nothing. I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? But because I had nobody to teach me any guidance and how to manage things and how to, you know what I mean? I done a lot for like we do for my fights, used to give away Christmas presents to needy families. Like I've done a lot of good things, but it was all I done it out of the kindness of my heart, but it was all for like public eye. But I was unraveling. I don't know how to I could manage everything else for everybody else, but I could manage my own life. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Kings Like Kiki, Cleveland Carter fight. The Cleveland Carter fight. That's so Cleveland Carter. I fought Cleveland Carter for 2 world titles. I beat the sleeves off Cleveland Carter. Dropped him in the second round. Dropped in the second round, I think, second, third round, and they called it a slip. And I almost took his head off. And yeah, but they called it a slip. And then he stand on my foot, push me, and I would fall. Or like I was on the ropes and he put his arms around me, grab the ropes and bend my back, all that stuff. And it was just a foul field. It was a foul field affair. Um, so yeah, so he won the titles. But after the fight, his face looked like he'd been through a meat grinder. And there's nothing wrong with me. You know what I mean? So, and it was his retirement bout. So I think that's why they done it. And yet again, this is me. I would go anywhere and fight anybody in the hometown. And if you fight somebody in the hometown, you either have to knock them out or it has to be you can't give them anything. You know, you have to win by a landslide. So that fight there kind of put a damp on me. We went to the strip club afterwards, so we had fun. It was a good experience, like traveling and you know. The Martin Verdon fight, I would say, yeah. Martin Verdon, Chance Leggett, Cleveland Carter, and Kingsley King. And I fought a guy from Lithuania. Like, see, I was a big deal in Scotland as an amateur. And I hadn't been home in years, not boxing. So I wanted to fight in Scotland. So I got a fight in Scotland in 2016? 2016, I think. Yeah. So fighting on home turf with my brothers and sisters, my siblings, my aunts and my uncles and my nieces and my nephews are in Scotland. So I wanted to fight where they can see me and where my mother's from, Fought he got dropped him 2 or 3 times and stopped him in the third round. So yeah, that's probably my most memorable fight. All of them are memorable. They all have. I could probably name every fighter before. You know what I mean? Like that's how much it's just a respect thing. It's because people say, "Oh," and I never understood people boo this person and boo that person. It takes so much guts to get in the ring. Most people don't have the guts to do it. So you got to take your hat off to people that have the guts to do it. But I love it. I'm more comfortable in a fight. Yeah, it got a point where I wasn't fighting. I'm on Facebook asking anybody if they want to meet up for a square go. Like, they want anybody on straight man. I just need to fight.
Yeah. It's amazing, to hear which ones stand out to you in your mind because you've done so much. I love asking that question because you never know which one's going to come back. You know what I mean? It can be like people can have won world titles, multiple world titles, like every type of thing. And sometimes that's not even what they're talking about. They go back and say, oh, yeah, when I was an amateur, this happened. Or when I was starting out, this happened. And all different things, man. I love that. So obviously, there's a few things you want to talk about with your life outside the ring. And to be honest, like you said at the beginning, you want to put this out there and get it sort of off
Yeah,
your
it's
chest.
dope. Yeah. So
Um,
yeah.
I respect that. So I got a list of a few things, but you know what you want to get off your chest with that. So let's start there and do a little bit of healing, I think, champ, because that's really
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's get it.
okay. Well, I think something that people are going to want to know about from your side of the story is the whole rape accusations and that side of things. And I know you mentioned you were comfortable to talk about that. Now, obviously, I've heard about this. I wasn't sure if to bring it up or not. I was thinking maybe not, but you said, look, there's some things I want to say about this. So, okay, cool, let's do it. And with this, it was quite a serious thing because they were accusing you not only of the rapes, but like pimping, pressuring and coercing and all this type of business as well. And I don't know how much you can say about it because it's illegal.
Man,
But you did say,
it's over. It's over and done with.
yeah.
So yeah,
But you did
yeah,
say it haunted you though, and I want to just take this opportunity to put it out there from your side. That's my reason for asking. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask this. But because you said, look, I want to put it out there from my side. I want to stop it haunting me or whatever. I thought, okay, let's give it a mention and people can hear it from your point of view if they haven't already. And that's the thing. So no disrespect, just set the record straight, basically.
yeah. Man, listen, it is what it is. It has haunted me for the last 5 years or something. Uh, I lost myself because of it. All my relationship with all my children was estranged because of it. I've lost family and friends. Almost lost my life because of it. So I I hadn't I had remember I just told you I fought the guy from Lithuania,
Yeah.
right? So I came back to the UK. I had just come off my one of my biggest wins. I fought Travis Scott, who's a person friend of mine now. We didn't get along before the fight, but he was 18-0. He was 18-0. I, he was 18-0, and I, I beat him. Uh, then I came to Scotland, and so what I did is I had like 3 Facebooks, and all my Facebooks were maxed out. So I and they all followed all my fights and everything. So what I did, I was big in America, but I was big in the UK at the time. So um, excuse me. So all right. So I posted something on Facebook said if anybody wants to see me come back to Scotland to fight, contact your local promoter. So I was in contact by Colin Belshaw, Southside Promotions. So I went to the UK. When I went back to the UK 2016, 2017, it was the first time I had been there in 13 years. So I went and I had So I was supposed to have 3 fights. I fought 2 fights, but the way I booked my flight was like, because I was over there training and fighting, but I hadn't had any time to go out drinking and stuff like that. My brothers and my sisters. So the way I booked the flight for 3 months. That way I had a few weeks to spend with my brothers and my sisters. So I had 6 weeks left after I finished fighting. 6 weeks in the country to enjoy myself. And I downloaded Tinder. Stay away from Tinder. It's not a good. Stay away from Tinder, man. Shit. So downloaded Tinder. I met this chick. I maybe messing the 30 minutes. I was in a bar. I was in a pub, and she decided to come in the pub. Slept with her. Had a sexual relationship with her. For 6 weeks. Every day I was with her for 6 weeks. So, at the time I was fighting. Jersey was on a baby, but I was fighting for for sole custody at the time. So when I came back to America, she messaged me and told me she was pregnant. I told her I didn't want to have no more kid. I didn't want to have a kid because I didn't have my kid, if that makes sense. How do I have another child when and I didn't know if I was going to win custody of my daughter. I didn't know. It was an uncertain thing, but I was fighting for which I won custody. So, and it's crazy how, I can sit here and I can say that I can sit here and say, "Oh, this one." I don't feel sorry for myself. That shit broke me, but it's not till recently I realized this situation ruined a lot of lives. Like my daughters had to be without me for eight years because of this shit. So had a sex relationship. She told me she's pregnant. I told her I didn't want to have any kids. So she hung up the phone with an attitude. She never ever contacted me again. So I'm figuring she dealt with it. I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't in a bad place, but I wasn't trying to have a kid where I didn't have custody of my child. How to explain that to her, you know? So what ended up happening is we had a sex relationship. She got pregnant. Then she calls me months later, like I'm talking months later, and she said, "I'm still pregnant." So I thought about it. And I tried to be supportive. Now, we're not together, but we're talking because she's supposed to be pregnant. Now she's told me all these things that her ex-boyfriend done to her, and how he done this. He sexually assaulted her, he beat her up, he caused her to lose a child, right? So she made it out like all she wanted to do was be a mother. And I was like, who am I to take that from her? So by this time that I spoke to her again, I've won custody of my daughter. So I'm trying to be supportive. So I'm in America, she's in the UK. So then she told me the baby's due date was on, let's just say, for example, November 18th. So I had another fight in the UK, so I went over, fought, and then I had make sure I was there for the November 18th. So I was being trained by David McKenna, and we went to the gym, and she went to the doctor, and she come back from the doctor, and she said, the doctor said the baby's not growing, we have to leave him in. So I was like, okay, I don't really know nothing about all this human anatomy and pregnancy. I do now, trust me. Now I do. I've done my research. I know about trimesters a lot, everything. So she said the baby wasn't going, I had to leave him in. So I said, well, I have to go back to America because I have, custody of my daughter. So I go so I goes back to America. A couple of weeks after I come back to America, she sends me a picture. This little boy, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And he told me, so I say about a day, you said a day and a half. I like enjoyed the picture of him, and then she told me he passed away. So, um, so, uh, so, uh, she told me he passed away.
Champ, if it's too much to,
No.
because there's no
She
pressure,
told
no pressure.
nah. So she told me he passed away. She told me he passed away from a hole in his heart. I went off the rails. I had custody of Jersey, but I was kind of neglecting it because I was I go to work, come home, change clothes, take a shower. I was out in the street doing drugs, selling drugs, just in a very dark place for 2 years. And I hated her for it, And so 2 years, a year, was it a year or 2 years? A year. So I was in a dark place, and I tell you, I was out of my face on drugs every day for a year. I just couldn't cope. My daughter was in the house, even though I had custody of her. I was never there. I come home from work. I wasn't even training that. I just gave up on life. Um, I was a mess, and then certain things started to kind of, because I only had one picture. It's like people take more than one picture of the baby and stuff like that. So she asked me to come back. So after this year, she asked me to come back. Well, was I doing better before I left, or was I still, in a bad way? I was in a bad way, but yeah. Um, so I went overseas. No, she asked me to come back to spread his ashes, and I told her I couldn't do it. And then she started telling me that her organs were failing and she was dying, and I felt, I guess a part of me had feelings for her, maybe, because I felt like we lost a child. I feel like it's a bond that nobody can, you know what I mean? So I went back to Scotland and I go to the house, and she's got a shrine built, like not a shrine, just like a thing on the entertainment center with like ashes and all this stuff like that in the picture. And then I was over there, and just it's just my older sister's a midwife, so my older sister and all, I fell out with my sisters because I was like, I said, I said, I lost a child, and y'all aren't acknowledging it. But they didn't like her, so they told her there's something not right. So my sister told me to ask her who paid for the funeral. So I asked her. I'm going to go all the way out here, right? I'm going to go all that. So, um, she said the hospital paid for the funeral, right? Because she said the baby was born, lived a few days. But my sister said my sister's been a midwife for 30 years. So she said after so many weeks of a pregnancy, whether that baby's born, stillborn, or alive, or I mean, stillborn, whatever, the family's responsible. So that was the first lie, right? So my sister confirmed that for me, but in my mind, I couldn't fathom that somebody would do this. My life's been a mess for the last year, crying every day, wanting to take my own life because I've lost a child. So some other things I have, but cannot criminate myself. So I ended up going to a house to confront her. No, my sister told me to ask her for a death certificate, a birth certificate. She couldn't provide it, so I went to her house to see her about something, question her, and there was a sorry, my other baby mom was laughing at me. So I went to her house to question about this. Right, I was on drugs, out of my face. So I went to the house. I'm outside the house. I'm shouting, yelling, calling the names, and all this. I was broken. I was broken. I was absolutely broken. And she was in the house with another guy. So this guy came outside. He came outside, and that didn't end well at all. So I went to prison. So what happened is this is the last time I'm gonna talk about it. So Liam, I'm gonna tell you the whole truth, right? So this guy comes outside, and he hit me first. I didn't hit him first. He hit me first. That's why I got that scar in my lip. So when I hit him and knocked him out, drug him back in the house. And then I left because I didn't want to leave him in the street. Because I didn't drag him in the house, but I drug him like behind the door, and I left. And I went to the hospital the next day because my lip was killing me. So I went to the hospital to get stitches. And I went to get stitches. 6 police arrested me. So I was arrested and for abduction, kidnap, and saying I held him against the will for robbery and all this stuff, which none of that was true. But what happened is the guy was in there with her. He was like he had uh, I broke his jaw and his cheekbone, and he had permanent tissue damage to his face, kind of messed up. So he's had to go to the hospital. So he was married, so he had to explain to his wife. I didn't know any of this while I was incarcerated until I was incarcerated. He was married, so with him being married, he can't tell his wife, well, I was at this woman's house and her ex-partner showed up, and so he's made this big story about he answered a classified ad for a car, about buying a car, and that it was a setup. I said I'm robbing, but so his bank card was getting used, but come to find out, he gave somebody his bank card to use to try and. So only thing I was in prison for was the assault, and they said I held him against his will for 5 hours. But that's not what happened. So I done 2.5 years in prison. When I got out of prison, I met a woman. I was only out of prison 6 days, and I was back to prison. Uh, so I got out of prison, met this woman named Angela. We went on a date. So when we went on this date, we went to a bar called the Last Call in Glasgow, and we went on a date, and she posted a picture of it. So she posted a picture of us on a date, and this girl who lied about the baby commented on the picture. She said, "Does he think he is going to be happy with somebody else that's not happy?" I haven't spoke to this woman. I just done 2.5 years in prison. I haven't spoke to you since I assaulted your boyfriend or whoever the guy was. So the whole thing with the baby, I was getting over that, like, because I had no contact with it, I was getting over it. So I went to prison, got out of prison, and went on a date. Then my sister calls me. She said the police just came through my door looking for you. So so she said the police said I was to call her. To call them. I called them, and they said, "Could you come down to the station?" I said, I'm not finna walk into no police station. Nobody does that, you know. So then they said it was about an incident that happened on New Year's between 10 and 10:30. This girl who lied about the baby positively ID'd me as a man trying to force my way into a home between 10 and 10:30 on New Year's Eve. So I said, well, listen, I was in the bar. I was in the pub from 10. I was in the pub from 7 o'clock at night to 2 o'clock in the morning, so it wasn't me. So CCTV cleared me. It wasn't me. I was in the pub. And then a few days later, police arrest me, take me into the police station, and they say, want to question you about a sexual assault. And I was like, sexual assault? So what happened is so after she made the accusation, I was in the police station less than an hour later, right? It's not like I wasn't hiding because I didn't do nothing, so they knew exactly where to find me because I was always on Facebook and stuff like that, posting stuff on Facebook. So this woman said that she had the acrylic nails. Now all the things that she said is the reason I'm free, if that makes sense, because she said that she had acrylic nails on and she dug into my neck so hard that I was bleeding, and that her real nails and her acrylic nails were coming off, and that she had scratched my side, right? So when the police arrested me, they took me in. And the first thing they said, take your clothes off. I took my clothes off. They took pictures of me. So she said that she dug me so hard and I was bleeding in the neck. Not a mark on me, so they released me without charge. So I get on with it. A couple of days later, police called me again. Police say, well, we just want to close the investigation. Could you come in so we can ask you a couple more questions so we can close the investigation? I said, yeah, I'll come in. So I go in. Now they're asking me about another woman. Another woman I don't know. Never heard this name. Don't know the woman, right? And then so they give me this interview, and I got a no. I'm giving a no comment. And my lawyer was shit, absolute shit. The worst lawyer I could have had, I think, because he's the one when I got done for the fight and assault were, with the fight, the dude had a guy named Kevin Brady. He's the worst lawyer ever. Don't ever hire him. So then when I got with, I went in and they asked me these questions, right? They asked me these questions, and I'm giving a no comment interview. They asked me questions like I genuinely don't know, but my lawyer said say no comment, so it's no comment. They said Zane Marks, you're under arrest. They charged me 6 counts of sexual assault, 6 counts of rape, benefiting from prostitution, lead of a prostitution ring, attempted dismemberment because they say I tried to cut arm off with a machete, saying I strangled and robbed the at a cash machine, saying I was caught with large quantities of cocaine and heroin, and that I stole a bunch of jewelry. So 19 charges I was on. 19 charges. So obviously they came, my lawyers came to see me a couple of times and, he spoke to me. He's like, well, if you plead to this, they'll drop this. I'm not pleading to anything. So I went to prison. Prison told me that they had to put me on protection because of the nature of my charges. And I'm not going to protect you. In my opinion, guilty men hide. I ain't got shit to hide from. And I ain't scared of nobody in it. So I had to sign a waiver saying that if anything happened to me in prison, on a regular side of prison, that the jail could be liable. And you know what? I'm as tough as they come. But what lied ahead of me, like, it broke me. It fucking broke me mentally. So 13 months I was on the man, 13 months and some days. It's just, there's a lot. See, fighting every day. That's jail politics. It's not like that in America. A rapist, somebody's accused of raping somebody. It's not like that in the UK. It's all about politics. Like one person says something, everybody believes it. Like, fighting all the time. My head was on a swivel. Got slashed, scars with boiling water. Certain staff just do dirty shit. And so I went through a lot of things in prison. Physically, I do it again. I could do it again. Mentally, I can't handle it again. Kill me. It's every time. When you're in prison, you get these letters from your lawyer, and your lawyer saying, "Oh, the Crown has another piece of evidence." Right, and once you get that letter, you might not hear nothing from your lawyer for 3 months. So that's 3 months. I'm stressed out of my mind, wondering what evidence could it be because I didn't do this. And then, when you start to second guess yourself, you spend a lot of time in your cell, and you're in your cell and you're asking. I used to cry and like asking myself, did I do this? That's fucking crazy because I didn't do it, but I'm asking myself, did I do this? Have I ever done anything to make anybody feel uncomfortable? You know what I mean? And then they let you out your cell, whether you're going to work or you're going to the gym or whatever the case may be. You never know who's, there's a couple of guys that plan to run in the cell and attack me, a few of them, but they were told by somebody that knew me that if y'all, if you're going to run in the cell and try to jump him, y'all better be team-handed because he can handle himself kind of thing. But, you're out of your cell, you're on the phone. I used to be on the phone to call my daughter and stuff like that. And, I can sound normal, but see, that's all that happens, when you get put back behind your door. Because I'm already an overthinker. Like, I overthink everything. You know what I mean? And it broke me. But I told myself this ain't gonna break me. Even though I was going through what I was going through myself, there's times I wanted to take my life. There's times that I eat my food because I felt like I would just eat my canteen because I feel like if somebody put something on my food. Because people are sneaky. They won't do it to your face. You know what I mean? So people start to get close to you, and you don't know who's who, and everybody's turning on you, and it's And then so what I did was I asked the jail I fill out my paperwork so I can get my intel just to see what my paperwork says. And Obviously, most of it's redacted because they don't show names, but they said such and such redacted was planning on attacking Mr. Marks with a razor blade, or you know what I'm saying, just stuff like that. No, it was paranoid out of my mind. But I never went on protection. I stood tall. I stood tall on that. So come time for trial, and Jillian Kincaid was the one that lied about the baby. So she took the stand. It was horrible. It was a very, very horrible ordeal because see, while I'm sitting in the dock and she's up there telling lies about me, and she had a support worker standing beside her. And I'm like, how would it my fucking life is unraveling here. You know what I'm saying? And she's got support, somebody stamped their support. What about me? That's how I felt. Like, what about me? When I say this, I am not innocent. I'm not saying I'm not guilty what I was accused of, but I'm not gonna sit and tell you. My hands is quick clean. I'm not innocent. I'm always, but fighting like something like shit like that. That's my thing. I don't take no shit from nobody, but anything like stealing and sexual something, man, none of that shit's me. I just I don't want to ever say, well, he's not a fucking saint. No, I'm not a saint. But so I go to trial. Jillian Kincaid's first. You know, see, you know what? It's different reading the paper. See if you would sit through that trial. I don't think my life would be. If the world could have seen that trial, I don't think my life would have been turned out the way it turned out because it was a farce. It was a fucking farce. It's an absolute joke. The PF who's supposed to try to prosecute me, he's playing with a pen. He's not trying. He knows this shit didn't happen. And the thing is, so I was like, if there's no evidence, how am I in prison? And my lawyer said, it's come something called corroboration. If two people are saying the same thing, it's enough to charge it. So go to trial. Jillian Kincaid gets on the stand. She's talking, asking her how she met me. She said, well, we had a sexual relationship. Then she said, then they asked about, so she said, allegedly they recovered a machete with a 20 centimeter blade. That they said I was trying to chop her arm. She had chopped the arm 20 times. So they asked her, show the court your arm. So she pulls up, and I had there's 12 jurors, right? I had 11 of my jurors were women. So I'm already thinking I'm fucked. So she pulls up a sleeve, and the whole court just said, oh, and I was like, fuck, I'm done. So my lawyer's like, what happened to your arm? So she's saying, oh, he chopped my arm, blah, blah, blah. My lawyer said, listen, I'm going to ask you again. Because I have a new lawyer. I had a new lawyer, Terry Gallagher and John McElroy, the best in Scotland, 100%. So she's saying I chopped the arm. Give me a couple, please. Cost, please. So she chopped my arm. She said I chopped the arm, whatever. But then my lawyer said, I have your medical records. She said, okay, I self-harmed, right? So then she's like, well, we had a baby and we lost our baby. And my lawyer said to her, listen, yet again, I have your medical records. You've never had a child, you've never been pregnant. So that kind of discouraged, that discredited her. So then the other woman came up and she's just like, I've been sexually assaulted, right? I've been sexually abused. I know I can tell you how it affected my life, right? And I can't see. There's just I think see being raped or being accused of rape, right? It's a very very traumatic event. I think that it changes you. See this second girl, see the way she behaved in that courtroom and the way she behaved in public. It's just like, in my opinion, it's just not how a victim acts, a rape victim acts. Not that I would know, but So a second chick, she's came up. But you know the thing, so these women, they knew each other, right? My daughter's mother, who's standing right here, like me and my daughter's mother weren't getting along at the time, right? Because I had been unfaithful, right? So they knew that. So like they were sending my daughter's mother, who's standing right next to me right now, my Jersey's mom, right? They were sending her screenshots They were sending out messages about how they were gonna ruin my life and how I was a piece of shit and this, that, and other, right? So see, because they knew I wasn't talking to my baby mama was like, yeah, he is a piece of shit. So she was making them think she could trust him. When I went to court, I had 300 pages of screenshots. So my daughter's mother screenshotted all that, sent it to my brother, my sister. My sister and all got it to the lawyer. So I've got screenshots of these women telling people they're gonna do to me, right? While I'm in prison. Thank you for that, by the way. So what ended up happening is, the second girl took the stand, right? Now she's got three of her friends that took the stand, and they're saying she called us right after he raped her and told us. So one of them said I ripped off her pajama pants. One said I ripped off shorts, and one said I ripped off leggings. Which one is it? Can only be one of them. So then she took the stand and she said I done this and done that and done this. And this Kirsty Truman is about 32, 33 stone. She damn near gotta get wheelchair around her. That's how big she is, right? So so yeah. So she's a big woman. So now they pulled up all these the evidence. So now they having a shirt that they say I ripped off her, pants that say I ripped off her. So the forensic people, the forensic examiner people and all the doctors and all that went was good for me because the shirt that they found that this woman said I ripped off her, they asked her why it didn't have any DNA on it. She said I washed it by accident. So if somebody rips clothes off you, you're not going to throw it in the dirty wash, are you? If somebody done something like that to you. So then they asked her why my DNA wasn't on it. So then the forensic people, she said, well, he ripped it off me. And then the forensic people say that shirt wasn't ripped. It was cut and then it was washed. And then there was nothing. So she said, I forced her legs apart with my knees. But like she's a heavy woman. So there was no DNA, right? There's no DNA in her nowhere. But she has, what's the skin disease? Is it eczema? Is that right? Or psoriasis, whatever it was. She has that really bad because she's a heavier woman or whatever. And she has, I don't know. I'm just doing this from court. They couldn't even get the thing in her to examine her. Like they couldn't even examine her because she's that. It all went from me. It was all. So I was acquitted of all 19 charges. After I was acquitted, I was taken downstairs and put in a cell for another 2 hours before they released me. I never understood that. When I got out, it was broken. When I got out, I thought I didn't know I was broken at this point. My father came from America when I got out to spend a week with me, and we decided to go out for a drink. I was in the bar 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I've already got some woman in my face calling me a beast and this, that, and the other. And I got barred from the pub. They didn't do nothing. It killed me because it happened in front of my father. And then we went home. This is when I realized that I wasn't the same. So we got a takeaway and went home and started crying. We were sitting down at the table eating. I had a breakdown. Started crying, and I was like, my life will never be the same. My life will never be the same. And my dad said, I know how you feel. And I lost it. I turned on him, I started getting aggressive. Like, you can't tell me you know how I feel if you ain't been through what I've been through. It's like going through what I've gone through. I was getting death threats on social media, which that don't bother me. If you're sending me death threats from a fake profile, then it is what it is. So I really wasn't worried about it. Yeah. So if you got a problem with me and you message me off your real Facebook, well, we could deal with that. I never ran from nobody in my life. We're gonna start nothing. So I went through that, and then I had a job, and my boss found out what I was in the jail for, accused of, and he sacked me. I was doing scaffolding. So I did what I knew how to do, and I went back to the streets. Um, started selling cocaine. Started selling drugs again, taking drugs again. It's a very dark place. And I just got this woman that owed me some money. I went to get my money. They told me that they had my money. And I went to the house. And when I went to the house, this is where everything kind of spirals out of control. On the streets, nobody. I've always had a bit of a name in the streets because I say I'm not innocent. We're gonna leave it at that. Um, so um, these people called me, told me they had my money. So I go to the house. I go to the house. The man's home, but his girlfriend's not. And so I go in the house, and he's like, "Well, she's not back yet. Let's have a cup of coffee." So we have a cup of coffee. Then we're sitting down at the table in the kitchen, have a cup of coffee, and the door goes, and he goes to open the door. Once the door opens, all I hear is black bastard, nigga, rapist. And the first thing I said to myself, now I'm 3 stories up in the masonette. So the first thing I'm thinking is I need to get the fuck out of here. So I'm not going out the window. I'm not gonna break my legs trying to jump out the window. So I look in the kitchen drawer for a knife or something to defend myself. They took all the knives and the forks out of the kitchen. So I was like, shit, I need to get out of here. So I end up, you have the hallway, you have the living room, and the living room door and the door is like right next to each other. And it's the mortar slop doesn't work. So as long as the snip's off, you can just pull the door open and close. So as I got to the door, the the living room door swung open and I see the biggest zombie knife I've ever seen in my life. So I jump outside the door, and that's 4 guys and 2 women, right? So I'm holding the door, and they're trying to pull the door open, and it's like going back and forth. So I'm 3 stories up. So if I run downstairs, it's one of those closes where you got to press the button, you got to wait for it to beep before you get over the door. And first thing I thought, if I run down the stairs, I'm gonna get stabbed in my back. And if you run downstairs, somebody hits you in your back, push you, whatever, you fall. So what I done is I was holding the door while I pulled it. So I started looking for my phone. I know it's on the side of this door. If I knew this wasn't going to end well. So I reached, I got my phone in my hand, and I let the door go. When he pulled the door, I hit it, right? I split him right across his face. So I figured that's my time to go. So I've went down the store, I ran down the stairs, I pressed the button, and I've opened the door. See, when I've opened the door, he's came downstairs behind me, but I guess he was dazed. He fell into me, I fell into the door. So now I'm stuck in the bottom of close. I'm fighting 3 of them, but one of them had a knife, and I'm wrestling with him and all that. And I didn't think I didn't think I was hit because I didn't feel it, but once I felt my legs wet, I knew he got me. So I kind of grabbed him and I had him in a chokehold, and then he started swinging the knife behind me. And I was like, he's gonna get me in my neck. So yeah, I stabbed a few times. That didn't end well. That was a real bad way. But I left. I don't know. It all kind of happened so fast. But when I left, I had the knife in my hand, but I had it by the blade, and like my fingertip was there. So my finger sewed back on. Um, then I walked to Asda, but they wouldn't let me in. I wanted to go in and clean myself up. Um, yeah, I went in. I went in and cleaned myself up and everything like that. So that was that. Excuse me. That was real. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I got stabbed up. They barely saved my finger. All because the thing is, I didn't do nothing. It's like, and that affects me because people tried to take my life. Had I not been the fighter that I am and the type of person that I am, like I didn't just run. If I wouldn't have fought back, I wouldn't be here today. You know what I mean? That'd kill me. And it's like all this is because of rape accusations. You know what I mean? That I was acquitted of.
You know, Jam, I mean, you've been through you've been through hell and back, and on the one hand, hearing the story, obviously I've seen the articles and all this type of thing. Obviously, hearing the story firsthand, I don't know if there's anything that people can say that actually does it justice with what you've been through. Because obviously, I can say, I'm sorry for what you've been through, and it doesn't really do it justice. Now, a couple of things with this. First things first, I'm mindful of our time talking because I don't want it to be too long for people to take on board. And I'm also mindful of your, um, reliving some very hard times.
Yeah,
And I'm going to be honest and go with an instinct here. I'm happy we put it out there, but I don't want you to do too much more of this now because I can see that it's affecting you a little bit. It wasn't so much at the beginning, it is a little bit now. And I know how strong you are, so I mean no disrespect with that
yeah,
whatsoever. But just going back through it. Um, so what I'm gonna do, and this is as long as you're happy with this, that we put the story that you're an innocent man and you went through the paranoia, I'm gonna close that there. I know we can go deeper into it, but
yeah,
because my heart's starting to go out to you a bit too much because I'm thinking, you know what, this guy's reliving his pain, and I don't want it to hurt you more. I want it to heal you.
yeah.
So you're innocent, and what I want to close out with, obviously this broke you down, but from what I can see with like BKFC and some of the things you're doing, you're starting to come back. Now I know it doesn't make it any easier and it doesn't take away what's happened, but excuse me, as our final topic, with wrapping this up, would you say that you're on a journey of even starting to heal up a little bit now, or do you think it's always going to stay with you in that way?
You know what? I never thought, as far as boxing, like I feel like what I went through cost me my boxing career. A lot of people don't want to deal with me because of that. Um, so when I went to BKFC trials, I didn't think I'd make it, but I was the first pick. Uh, and this is another one of the things that nobody knows. Um, what I went through kept me from my daughter for 8 years. Not because I was in prison for 8 years, but I was in a very dark place, you know. So with the BKFC thing, the buzz about me with BKFC was huge. Um, and the Bakewell told me, he said, you don't get anybody in your weight class trouble. So my blood work, I see. So in Scotland, police harassed me and all that because of what I've been through. So I moved to Manchester. I gave my life to Jesus Christ. I was in a dark place, was doing drugs. Then I went to a Christian rehab called Victory Outreach in Manchester. When I left there, I got involved in a relationship, a toxic relationship. Um, not toxic, not at the time, just with a toxic person. So what ended up happening is, so with the BKFC, I was a big deal, I was a buzz, but my blood work never came back in time, right? So I was the main event, so they had to pull me from the card. So they pulled me from the card, and then the minute they pulled me from the card, my blood work comes. So I had about a week where I was depressed because I was like, I thought I had my career back. Now I'm not fighting. So then I was guaranteed that I'd be put on a Danny Christie undercard in Newcastle. But my blood work came back, so I got the news I can fight. So now they have to find me an opponent again. So the day I found out I was fighting, I started a new job, and in this last year, like, I've had peace. You know, I had peace. I was ready to fight and everything like that. And 3 or 4 days before the fight, I started a new job, and I found I'm fighting, and police come into my job, rugby tackle me to the floor. This is October 6th. It's like 7 days before the fight, October 6th or 7th. But the thing is, it's like I had my back. The way they had me working, they had me working my back to the door. I didn't realize at the time because I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was rugby tackled to the floor by the police. I was working on a shift with all women. The police arrested me on suspicion of another sexual assault. Then when I get to the police station, they tell me it's an assault. It's a common assault. I punched somebody in the face in Scotland. So I lost my job. Like, he humiliated me in front of everybody and accused me of raping somebody in front of these women. You know, just to arrest me, take me to the police station, and tell me that you got it wrong. How the fuck does that happen? So then, by the time I get out of the police station, this relationship I'm in, the police and the social worker's been to her house, told her that I've raped 7 different women, which I was accused of rape. I was accused of. So now my partner was scared of me, saying that, talking about torturing people. Also, like I'm like, how are they allowed to do this? So my relationship that I was in broke down. I've lost my job. All this a week before my fight. And Andy Bakewell, who I was a good friend of mine, I spoke to Andy Bakewell, and you know what he said to me? He said, "If you," he said this the day of the fight because I rode to the fight with him. He said to me, he said, "If you don't fight, I understand and I won't hold against it," because he said, "I know the week you've had and I know what you've been through." And I said to him, I said, "Andy, I think a fight's what I need." And I went in there and fought the wrong fight. I fought out of emotion, broke my hand in 2 places. Uh, so even after that, I was in a dark place. I ended up in Portugal, and then I was in Amsterdam. I didn't know where I belonged. I didn't know where I belonged. And for 8 years, I've told my daughter I'm coming home. But I'm glad I didn't come home those 8 years because the person I was broken. I'm still broken. I'll forever be broken. But I got on that plane, and it's the best decision I made because that is the girl that means the world to me more than anything in this world. And I have my best friend back. She's everything. You know, I've always been a fighter and stuff like that, and I've lost so much, and I I don't have time for anything. Like my daughter, like I'm gonna fight. She's never, when I was a kid, when she was a kid, she would tell people my dad's a boxer, my dad's a famous boxer, and all this. And so see now, she's never ever seen me fight live. So I'm whether it's boxing or BKFC, you mark my words, I'm gonna have a strap around my waist in a week. I've been through too much. The drugs couldn't beat me. These women couldn't beat me. I gave my life to Jesus Christ, and I was involved with a program called Walk Ministries, and like it changed my life. Like so, I'm a fighter, yes, but I'm a father first. So um, yeah, I'm now I'm healing. I'm in the process. I'm not. You know what? It's funny. It's funny we say this. So I'm sitting here telling you I'm healing, right? I'm better than I was, but just 2 days ago, the girl I was with when I was in Manchester, like obviously I found out she was cheating on me and all that. While I was going through all this, like when I came to America, I said I'm leaving all the bullshit behind. So I got my daughter creating a new Facebook, and this is a woman that we didn't really end on bad terms. It just like what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know how to say that because I'm not trying to bad mouth nobody, but she knows what she did, right? So I come out of this squeaky clean. Like I'm not the reason the relationship broke down, but all of a sudden after I haven't spoken to her in 7 months, 8 months, and she slaughtered me on Facebook. And somebody sent me a screenshot. I'm a rapist. I'm attacking women. I'm doing it, and this is somebody that has never even seen me raise my voice. So for at least 24 hours, I was in the house and was crying. I didn't want to go outside. It's just like, and like me and my father aren't that close. And my father said to me, he said, "Listen, you've been through the worst of it." My daughter's mother said, they're on the other side of the world. Now that you're better, they're better. You know what I mean? So anybody can say what they want. I can't sit there and tell you that it won't affect me, but my mental health is shot. But I'll tell you this. The only way for me is up. No matter what somebody says or somebody does, I've been through worse. I've overcame worse. So, I'm keeping God first and just trying to be a better man. My main goal is to be the best father I can be. So, yeah, I'm definitely like that. A couple of people contact me already about boxing. I spoke to Nick Shook because Andy told me if I come back to America, I would get on a BKFC American card. So spoke to Nick Shook the other day. He just doesn't know what date yet. So yeah, I'm just taking it one day at a time, man. I'm grateful to be here because a lot of people wouldn't have made it through what I made it through. And because I can't tell you that I haven't thought about taking my life or I haven't tried to take my life or whatever the case may be. But God has forgiven me for all my mistakes. And so I forgive all the people that have ever wronged me and try to wrong me. Whether that's, huh?
You just have to forgive yourself.
That's just as forgiving myself I struggle with. But the women who accuse me, I forgive them. Because as long as I don't forgive them, I'm hanging on to it. It's just going to hold me back. It's going to make me cold-hearted. I don't want to have a cold heart. And there's people out there who've wronged me and all the rest of it. And I just want peace. Anybody who's ever wronged me, I've let it go. So if I've ever wronged you and you haven't let it go, that's your personal problem. But so I'm just trying to be the best person I can be.
Well, Jam, I'm gonna, as long as it's okay with you, I'm gonna close out with that as a beautiful way to reach this point in your life. Now, what I am gonna say at this point, well, there's a few things I need to say. First of all, we'll wrap up the interview at that point, but I have a massive amount of respect for your honesty and your bravery in putting this out there because it's a very brave thing to do. I don't care what anybody says. Standing up here and putting the record straight and everything and speaking out in public in this way is a very, very brave thing to do. Um, I often say to people sometimes, I appreciate you being an open book and this and that and the other when we do a podcast, but with this, it's like a whole nother level of, open book. And the only thing is, I mean, I know with like your life, we could do multiple episodes of this. There's a great book inside of you. I know you said you're writing one. There's some amazing things. So we can always do another episode down the road. But for what we've talked about today, I hope, and I don't say this very often because usually it's about like the interview, it's about the numbers and all this type of thing. But I hope that it's helped you to heal because when I put these interviews out there, I always want to inspire people and give people hope and motivation and all that type of thing. That's a big part of why I do them. But with this, obviously there's some great life lessons people can take from this, obviously, and there's some inspiration. But for you, I hope it helps what you just said there about not having a cold heart, not having that. I hope it helps put some of this stuff out there in a way that people can understand, in a way that people can see, the person that you really are and not the person you made out to be. Because, when I look at you, you're like under a suit of armor, I mean, you've got like the person you are inside and everything, and then you've got like the tough, all this stuff on the outside, and obviously it's real. But what I'm saying is, you seem to have like a good heart inside, and I believe that we've shown people that today. I hope we have. I mean, I feel that we have. So I'm just going to close out by saying, you're a brave person, and what you're saying there about God, everything does happen for a reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like much when you say it after like what you've been through, but it is true. So I just wanna I just want to thank you for your time, man, and thank you for putting this across. I hope you're happy with it. I'm very happy with it, and I hope that
It's out there. It is what it is. And I'm going to say this again. Like, this is the last time I will speak about it because as long as I'm speaking about it, then I can't let it go and I can't move on. So I'm glad I got to do it with you. Thank you.
and it's my honor that you felt comfortable enough to share it with me, by the way, and then with our listeners as well. So you give me a couple of days. I'll get this out. I'll get this over to you. I won't change anything. It'll be exactly as you said. We'll get it out there and we'll show the world what you're all about and set the record straight. I think that obviously will inspire some young boxers and things like that as well. And there's some other cool things in there. But in terms of this side of the story, I hope that it heals some lives. And your message about forgiveness, very, very powerful as well. I think that people can take from that and put that into practice in their own lives as well. So what I'm going to say, champ, God bless you. It's been an honor to meet you, and it's been lovely meeting Jersey as well. And I'll be praying for you, and I'd like to keep in touch with you even after we release this because obviously I'll follow your progress with like the up and coming fights and anything else I can do to help you. I'd be happy to do. Um,
Thank you very much, Liam. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
my pleasure, man. Absolutely my pleasure. You enjoy the rest of your day. And
Thank you.
all I'm going to say is after going back through all that in your mind, make sure you look after yourself because
I'm okay.
I know.
I'm looking forward to the future now.
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.